Hey, what's up guys? It is me, Chachionics. I am here with another video. This video is going to be about tomorrow's fights. UFC Fight Night, Curtis Blaydes versus Tom Aspinall. That will be a heavyweight bout in the main event. As you can see, I am making this during the day because I want to make the video during the day and I want to edit the video during the day and not do it at night, because the fights tomorrow are in London at the O2 Arena. I will really say that they are in London. So these fights are going to begin earlier, and I want to be able to wake up early to be able to watch all of the fights. So that's why I'm making this during the day. It is currently 4:24 p.m. July 22nd, 2022. Tomorrow the fights are on July 23rd, and I will get into the times and everything, and I will get into the overview of the fights. I will get into who I've selected as per usual, but I will give briefly how I did last week. Last week, I went 7-5. I had 7 wins and 5 losses, including getting the main event correct with Yair Rodriguez. So that was pretty decent. That is okay. Not too bad, not too shabby. Went 7-5. So enough about last week's fights. Let's talk about tomorrow's fights. So tomorrow will be headlined between a pair of heavyweights. Number 4, Curtis Blaydes versus number 6, Tom Aspinall. I will rename these guys in the overview. I just want to get their name out there, and give a little bit in depth on who is fighting tomorrow. So tomorrow's fights are going to be really fun. I'm really looking forward to tomorrow's fight. I will give you the fight that I am most excited about. There are a few fights that I'm very excited about, and I will name those later on. So let's get on with the times, and then I will give the overview. So here are the times for the fights. So the prelims, they begin at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and they will be on ESPN+. The main card will begin at noon at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and they will also be on ESPN+. This is a fight night, so nothing too special, even though it is a very special card. There are a lot of fun fights on this card. This card feels like a pay-per-view. So those are the times of the fights. The fights will also be held tomorrow, July 23rd, 2022. That's the date. They will be held at the O2 Arena in London, England, which is why the fights are much earlier. So that is pretty cool. And especially since there's a lot of English, I think there's a lot of European English talent on the card tomorrow, including the heavyweight fighter who's fighting in the main event, Tom Aspinall. So let's go in with the overview. So here is the overview. To kick the card off in the prelims, we have a welterweight bout at 170 pounds between Claudia Silva versus Nicholas Dalby. We then have a women's flyweight bout at 125 pounds between Mandy Bohm and Victoria Leonardo. We then have a lightweight bout at 155 pounds between Jai Herbert and Kyle Nelson. We then have a flyweight bout at 125 pounds between Muhammad Mukayev versus Charles Johnson. We then have a featherweight bout at 145 pounds between Makwan Amirkhani versus Jonathan Pierce. We then have another featherweight bout at 145 pounds between Nathaniel Wood versus Charles Rosa. We then have a lightweight bout at 155 pounds between Mark Diakisi versus Damir Hadzovic. Then we have a lightweight bout we have a lightweight bout at 155 pounds. This will serve as our prelim feature. That will be between Mason Jones versus Ludovic Klein. That is the end of the prelims, and we then move to the main card. To kick the main card off, we have a light heavyweight bout at 205 pounds between Paul Craig, who I like to call Paul Craig because he's Scottish, versus Volkan Oezdemir. We then have a women's flyweight bout at 125 pounds between Molly McCann versus Hannah Goldie. We then have a light heavyweight bout at 205 pounds between number 11 Nikita Krylov versus Alexander Gustafsson. I do want to back up a little bit in the fights. Just one fight. I just want to go back, and I do want to preface that the light heavyweight bout between Paul Craig, even though I said it a little cringe, Paul Craig, and Volkan Oezdemir. Paul Craig is the number 8 light heavyweight contender, and Volkan Oezdemir is the number 9 light heavyweight contender. So yeah, light heavyweight bout at 205 pounds between number 11 Nikita Krylov versus Alexander Gustafsson. We then have a lightweight bout at 155 pounds between Paddy Pimblett versus Jordan Levitt. We then have a middleweight bout at 185 pounds between number 8 Jack Hermansson versus Chris Curtis. Chris Curtis coming in, filling in on short notice. Jack Hermansson's original opponent was Darren Till, but Darren Till had to pull out of the fight, I believe 2 weeks ago, so Chris Curtis is filling in for Darren Till. That is the co-main event of the evening at a middleweight bout 185 pounds between Jack Hermansson and Chris Curtis. And then we have our main event of the evening with the two big boys, number 4, Chris Curtis, and not Chris Curtis. Curtis is the name, but it's not Chris Curtis. Number 4, Curtis Blaydes versus number 6, Tom Aspinall. So I'm going to give my predictions. This video is already going a little longer than I would like since there are more fights. So I'm going to give my predictions. So here is the overview of my predictions. I got Nicholas Dalby over Claudia Silva. I got Mandy Bone over Victoria Leonardo. I got Jai Herbert over Kyle Nelson. I got Muhammad Mokaev over Charles Johnson. I got Jonathan Pierce over Makwan Amirkhani. I got Nathaniel Wood over Charles Rosa. I got Mark Diakisi over Damir Hadzovic. I got Mason Jones over Ludovic Klein. I got Paul Craig over Volkan Oezdemir. I got Molly McCann over Hannah Goldie. I got Nikita Krylov over Alexander Gustafsson. I got Paddy Pimblett over Jordan Levitt. I got Chris Curtis. I got Chris Curtis over Jack Hermansson. And in the main event of the evening, this fight, I will say, I'm just going to say my pick because you kind of already know. You don't know who I'm picking, but I'll get into detail. I got Curtis Blaydes over Tom Aspinall. So, I'm going to get a little bit in depth here for a second. This fight between Curtis Blaydes and Tom Aspinall was by far the toughest fight on the card for me to select because I like both guys. Both guys are very well-rounded. They both got great wrestling. They got great striking. They're both very well-rounded. You can maybe say Curtis Blaydes is better on the ground because he's got that NCAA wrestling. But both are just absolutely phenomenal. Tom Aspinall has shown that he is, there are levels. There are levels, and he just shows how great he is in every fight that he's been in. So that's a little in-depth for that fight. That was the toughest fight for me to select. And this is the fight that I am looking forward to the most, the main event of the evening. I'm also looking forward to Jack Hermansson, Chris Curtis, Paddy Pimblett, Jordan Levitt, Molly McCann versus Hannah Goldie. I mean, all of these fights are amazing. Muhammad Mokaev, Charles Johnson, that's another fun one. So those are my selection. Those are my picks for tomorrow. And before I end the video, tomorrow, all 28 fighters, there are 14 fights. I don't know why for some reason in the video, I'm like, oh, in the 14 fights, I don't care if I go 0-14, even though there was less than 14. But before I say what I say about these fighters, actually I will say it. All the fighters made weight. Every single fighter made weight, which is absolutely fantastic. I can now get into a little bit of my spiel a little bit. I don't care how I do. I could go 0-14. I can get the main event wrong. I just want to see a good day of fights, right? I want to see knockouts, submissions. I want to see wars. Like I always say, I just want to see a good day of fights. Good morning, evening of fights. At least for me, it will be night for them. I just want to see a good night of fights, good day of fights, and hopefully we get to see that, regardless of whether I'm on the good end of that or the bad end of that. I just want to see good fights. So that is, I will give my betting disclaimer. As always, if you're going to bet on the fighters that I have selected, make sure that you are confident enough that the fighters that I have selected are going to win. For example, if in the main event between Curtis Blaydes and Tom Aspinall, I have selected Curtis Blaydes. If you disagree with me and think that Tom Aspinall is going to win, select Tom Aspinall. No big deal, no harm, no foul. So that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys have been enjoying the way I have edited these past few videos. Give me some pointers on what I should do better, if I should condense my videos a little more, even the way I deliver, whether the videos are going too long, whether I should shorten them. So, comment down below some tips on what I should do to make these videos better, because at the end of the day, I give my predictions for fun, but I also want these videos to be enjoyable for you guys. So that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys enjoy the fights tomorrow. Comment down below whether you guys agree or disagree with me if you are watching the fights tomorrow. And that is pretty much it. So, peace out, guys.